up a huge amount of debt, and that debt represents an unsustainable financial model that will ultimately bankrupt this country and make us a third world nation if we don't stop it, and stop it now. I was born and raised on a farm, and I learned early the values of honesty and hard work. I worked 3 jobs, and with a little bit of help from my parents, I put myself through college. After graduation, I joined a company now called Seco Warwick Corporation here in Meadville. I worked there for nearly 25 years and convinced a group of investors to lend us the money to buy that business. We owned the business for nearly 16 years. And in that period of time, we paid off the business. We increased employment by more than 40%. And I've set and managed budgets in good times and bad, and cut multi-million-dollar payrolls on more than one continent. I spent two decades in economic development in our region. I've spent more than a decade in the healthcare system on the board here in Meadville. This is the kind of background and experience that we need in Washington, D.C., and I want to put that background and experience to work for the people in the 3rd District. As I've gone through the district the last several months, I've had people tell me they want to see the economy fixed and they want to see people go back to work. So if you go to my website, you'll see that I've created a plan, an outline of what this country should do and a vision of where we need to go. And it involves reforming the tax code, removing burdensome regulation that's stifling American business, making sure we have a level playing field for trade and free and open currency markets, and making sure that we have a path to comprehensive national energy policy that will get us to the road to energy independence. We do need health care reform, and Congress needs to do things that will restore the confidence in the American public in our economy.
Good evening. My name is Mike Kelly. I'm from Butler, Pennsylvania. I'm an automobile dealer, and I'm also a father of 4, husband of 37 years, and a grandfather of 4. When people ask you things like, why in the world would you run for this office? And my answer is, because none of us ran before. All of us that were responsible people sat back, watched what was going on, and said, you know what? Too busy. Raising a family. Running a business. I don't have time to get involved. So what did we do? We forfeited everything in our future. We forfeited our kids' future. We sent people by default because they would run, and we wouldn't run. So why am I running? Because it's time to get people like us into the office. It was never supposed to be a professional position. You're supposed to be a representative of the Republic. You're supposed to represent the people who sent you to represent them, and represent them in a strong way. If you can't do that, then you should leave. And I would say the biggest problem we have right now is term limits. We've got people sitting too long in the same spot because they're paid too well and they're never held accountable for the bad that they do. Now, what I would like you all to do, and I know when I look at you, you're the same as I am. I was never given anything. I bought the business from my father. He started in 1953. 1 car showroom. We developed it into 2,000 cars a year that we sell. We have 14,000 people in our owner bank, and I don't say that to impress you. I tell you that because I know what I'm talking about. When I talk about running a business, balancing a budget, making payroll, I know because I have to do it. I also had to go out and borrow money, and I know that collateral that I had to put up was greater than the money I wanted to borrow. I know that my house got thrown in because it was paid off, and I know that my pension fund got attached to it too. Because nobody was going to take a chance. They wanted more on the hook than what I was borrowing. So I know, because you've all gone through the same thing. And like you, I have spent many sleepless nights looking into the abyss, wondering how in the world am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay all those bills? Well, there's one thing I'd like you to do. Now, this is a challenge. I mean, you're asking us tonight, let me tell you this. I'd like all of you to get a hold of Kathy Dalkemper and get her true version of what she's going to do with the immigration reform, which is amnesty. She tricked us on health care. Make her answer now before we get into this mess. Thanks so much, and it's nice being with you.
Hello, Meadville. I'm Martha Moore, and I am a very concerned citizen. I love this country, and I am just really upset. I get nauseated when I hear this president talking. This morning, he's ranting about something, and it just made me sick to my stomach. I was nauseated. I'm a family doctor from Sandy Lake, Pennsylvania, just down the road here. And I started in accounting, actually. and got my master's in business administration, then a CPA. 6 years as CPA. 3.5 years, the last 3.5 years of that I was in Papua New Guinea, an island north of Australia, doing accounting, but I also volunteered in first aid clinics with the local missionaries in the native villages, and I realized then that I wanted to pursue a career in medicine to help people. So I've been down in Sandy Lake for 14 years now, and I love what I do. I love helping the people of this area. So why am I doing this? Well, I said it already. I don't want to be nauseated every time I hear the President of the United States speak. Enough is enough. I've said that. Enough is enough. We all know that our country is going in the wrong direction. Very much the wrong direction. And we need someone there with a background in mind, in business and in medicine. Medicine is very important right now. I'm on the front lines of this. I had a patient today come in and she did not have insurance. Her husband didn't have insurance. He just went through a heart attack. They have a $90,000 bill from Hammett Hospital. And I said, call Kathy Dahlkemper. And you know what, I did my part. I waived her fee for today because they couldn't afford it. I helped them out with whatever medicines they needed. I made sure they had $4 meds from Walmart to get through this time period. Because it's going to be 4 years before they can get health insurance based on this stupid bill they passed. And I'm not afraid to say it's stupid. It makes everything worse. So we're going to get into hopefully all these areas in more detail. And so thank you very much for having us.
Keith is going to start with the questions. There are a few seats down here. You all have standing room only for your event, which is wonderful. But there are a few seats left if you want to come on down now. I see about probably 10 seats. I'm going to do that now. Questions. What we're going to do on the questions is we're going to move one down for each question. So you'll be the last person to respond to this. And Mr. France will be the first person.
Can I go through this? Okay, thank you. How are you?
Okay, we'll start a key question. We'll ask our first question, and as I just said, we'll work our way down, skipping a person. So Mr. France, you will be the first person for this.
We're looking at the budget deficits that are unprecedented in our time. And right now, the budget's projected to be $1.5 trillion this year, or 10.3% of GDP. The National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility is tasked to try to bring that down to about 3% of GDP by 2015. President Obama has proposed looking at a 3-year freeze on non-security discretionary spending. Basically, it's covering everything but defense, homeland security, veterans entitlement programs. Is that something you agree with, or should cuts go deeper?
Excuse me, your mic isn't on. We can't hear you very good.
Sorry, I'll try to speak up on the next question, sir.
I think that the national debt that we have, financing $400 billion last year on $12 trillion of national debt, we have to get out of the deficit spending program. This is going to crush this country. We're going to be a third world country. One of the things bantered around over the last couple of months is that the United States government is losing their AAA credit rating, which would increase the amount of interest that we would have to pay on that debt. It isn't that China or India or Japan has lent us money. They have bought our debt. It's a security, just like people buy stocks and bonds. We have to get out of that business of financing future legislation or financing bills that we don't have the taxpayers' tax dollars to back it up. I do not believe it's going to be curbed in 5 years.